Hey guys, tonight we're wandering into Pompeii, a city frozen in time, where laughter echoes off sun-warmed stones and the air hums with life. Picture yourself strolling through its vibrant streets, merchants haggling, kids darting between carts piled with figs and bread. Vesuvius looms in the distance, a sleepy giant you barely notice. But here's the reality check. By the end of this tale, you probably won't survive this, not without a time machine or some serious luck. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You step into Pompeii on a bright morning in 79 CE. The cobblestones smooth under your sandals. The city pulses with energy, a hub of Roman life, nestled by the Bay of Naples. Around 20,000 people call this place home, from wealthy elites in sprawling villas to enslaved workers hauling water jugs. You pass a bakery, the scent of fresh loaves mingling with olive oil and sea salt. Graffiti scrawls the walls, love notes, insults, even a cheeky ad for a gladiator match. Historians note Pompeii's thriving economy, its port buzzing with trade from Egypt and Spain. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some Pompeians used fermented fish sauce, garum, like it was ketchup, slathering it on everything. Gross or genius? You decide. The form's your next stop. The city's beating heart. Marble columns gleam, and toga-clad officials debate taxes, while vendors hawk wine and pottery. You spot a temple to Apollo, its altar smoky from sacrifices. Nearby, a street performer juggles figs, drawing giggles from kids. Joke alert. Why'd the Roman cross the road? To pick up his garum, take out, obviously. You weave through the crowd, dodging a donkey cart. Homes catch your eye. Bright frescoes of gods and lovers adorn the walls, and courtyards bloom with roses. Wealthy Pompeians loved showing off, but even modest houses had style, with mosaic floors spelling out welcome. Yet, historians still argue whether Pompeians sensed trouble brewing. Vesuvius hadn't erupted in centuries, but minor quakes rattled the region. You feel a faint tremor underfoot. Nothing major, just enough to slosh your wine. Locals shrug it off. They're used to the ground's grumbles. Another quirky fact: some Pompeians believed rubbing crocodile dung on their skin warded off evil spirits. Bet that smelled charming. You pause at a tavern where sailors swap stories over diluted wine. The chatter's lively, but nobody mentions the mountain. Why would they? It's just scenery, right? As you wander, the city's rhythm pulls you in. You pass a public bathhouse, steam curling from its arched doorway. Inside, friends gossip about chariot races while soaking in hot pools. Outside, a baker yells at a stray dog swiping bread. Joke 2. What's a Pompeian's favorite bathhouse game? Marco Polo, but with togas. You grin, but the mountain's shadow feels heavier now. The day's still young, and Pompeii's alive, oblivious to what's coming. You turn a corner, heading toward the amphitheater where gladiators train, their grunts echoing. Life here feels eternal, but you can't shake the feeling that time's running out. You're still in Pompeii, the city's hum wrapping around you like a warm blanket. The sun climbs higher, glinting off tiled roofs, and you're drawn toward the looming bulk of Vesuvius, its slopes green and deceptively calm. You're not imagining things. Something's off. The ground quivers faintly, like a sleeping dog twitching. Locals barely blink, but you notice a bird flock scattering from the mountain's peak. Vesuvius hasn't erupted in living memory, but it's not as dormant as everyone thinks. Historical records confirm small tremors shook the region for years before 79 CE, often ignored as normal. You pause by a vineyard, grapes heavy on the vine, and wonder if the soil's richness comes from that silent giant. A quirky tidbit surfaces. Some Pompeians thought Vesuvius was a divine gateway, home to gods like Vulcan, who hammered thunder in his forge. Offerings of wine and olives were left at its base, just in case. You smirk. Imagine praying to a volcano for good Wi-Fi today. The air feels heavier now. A faint sulfur whiff mixing with the scent of roasting chestnuts from a nearby stall. You pass a priest sprinkling incense at a roadside shrine, muttering about omens. Most folks ignore him, too busy bartering for cloth or flirting in the shade. Historians still argue whether Pompeians could have predicted the eruption. Pliny the Younger, miles away, later wrote of tremors and odd smoke, but in Pompeii, life rolls on. You wander past a laundry where workers stomp clothes in vats of, brace yourself, human urine, a quirky cleaning method back then. Joke alert. Why'd the Roman laundry fail? Too many stain removal scandals. You chuckle, but the mountain's presence gnaws at you. A dog howls, and you notice wells acting strange. Water levels dropping, bubbles rising. Nature's dropping hints, but nobody's listening. You reach the city's edge, where farmers haul produce from fields fed by Vesuvius's fertile ash. The view's stunning. Blue Bay, distant hills, and that ever-present mountain. You squint. Is that haze on its summit new? A shepherd nearby grumbles about restless goats, blaming the gods. Another joke. What's a Pompeian shepherd's worst nightmare? A volcano with baffling timing. You keep moving, passing a villa where a party's in full swing. Lutes, laughter, and garum-drizzled snacks. Remember that fishy ketchup? It's everywhere. Guests recline on couches, oblivious to the faint rumble you feel through your sandals. The day stretches on, and you're caught between Pompeii's carefree vibe and Vesuvius's subtle warnings. A street vendor offers you a clay cup of watered-down wine, and you sip it, watching clouds drift. Are they clouds, though? They're thicker, grayer than before. You overhear a sailor mention odd tides in the bay, but he laughs it off. The city's too alive to worry. Kids chase each other. A baker hollers about fresh bread, and gladiators spar in the distance. Yet, every tremor, every strange smell, feels like a whisper from Vesuvius. You glance at the mountain again, its silhouette sharper against the sky. Time's ticking, but Pompeii dances on, blind to the giant stirring just beyond the horizon. You're in Pompeii, and the world's about to unravel. The sky darkens, not with clouds, but with a choking veil of ash. Vesuvius roars, its summit splitting in 79 CE, spewing a column of fire and stone historical records describe as towering miles high. You stand frozen in the Forum, where moments ago merchants haggled and kids laughed. Now, screams pierce the air. Ash rains down, soft as snow but heavy, coating your hair and stinging your eyes. The ground shakes violently, toppling a statue of Apollo nearby. You cough, pulling your tunic over your mouth as panic ripples through the crowd. A quirky detail. Some Pompeians grabbed pillows, tying them to their heads as makeshift helmets against falling pumice. Imagine the sight. Grown adults sprinting with cushions strapped on, like a bizarre Roman sleepover. You stumble through the streets, ash piling at your ankles. Historians still argue whether the eruption's first phase could have been survivable with faster evacuation. Pliny the Younger's account mentions a massive cloud, but in Pompeii, confusion reigns. Some run for the harbor, others freeze, staring at the glowing mountain. You pass a baker, still clutching a loaf, eyes wide with disbelief. The air grows hotter, thick with sulfur. You dodge falling roof tiles, joke alert. Why'd the Roman roof collapse? It couldn't handle Vesuvius's hot temper. Buildings groan, and you hear distant crashes as weaker structures buckle. The ash is relentless, blanketing streets, clogging fountains. You spot a family piling belongings onto a cart, only for the wheel to snap under the weight. The bay's no refuge either. Waves churn, driven by tremors. That crocodile dung sunscreen from earlier? Useless now. though you bet someone's still swearing by it. You weave through alleys, passing a tavern where a few souls huddle, praying to Jupiter. The quirky fish sauce, garum, sits abandoned on tables, jars tipped over in the chaos. Another joke. What's a Pompeian's worst pickup line now? Wanna share my last garum dip? Your heart races as you climb a hill for a better view. Vesuvius is a monster, spitting glowing rocks that arc like meteors. The ash layers knee-deep in spots, slowing your steps. Historical data estimates the eruption released 100,000 times the energy of Hiroshima's bomb, burying Pompeii in hours. You pause, catching your breath, as a mother clutches her child nearby, whispering reassurances. The sky's black now. Day turned to night. Lamps flicker in wealthier homes, but most are dark, buried or abandoned. You wonder who'll make it out. Some head for the city gates. Others climb rooftops, hoping for rescue. The ground lurches again, and you nearly fall. Vesuvius isn't done. Worse is coming, though you don't know it yet. You push forward, ash crunching underfoot, the city's vibrancy suffocating under this gray shroud. You're caught in Pompeii's chaos, ash falling thicker, the air a gritty haze. Vesuvius rages, its roar drowning out screams as you navigate streets now alien under a gray blanket. Historical accounts, like Pliny the Younger's, describe residents facing a grim choice in 79 CE. Flee through choking darkness or stay, hoping walls hold. You stumble past a collapsed villa, its frescoes of lovers buried in debris. Some Pompeians bolt for the city gates, clutching children or gold. Others barricade themselves indoors, praying the gods hit pause. You hesitate, heart pounding, run or hide. A quirky tidbit. One excavated house held a stash of magic amulets, including a tiny bronze hand to ward off evil. Fat lot of good that did, you think, sidestepping a fallen beam. Historians still argue whether more could have escaped if warnings were heeded earlier. The harbor's a mess. Ships capsize in wild waves, and pumice clogs the shore. You spot a man dragging a cart of scrolls, prioritizing poetry over survival. Joke alert. Why'd he save the scrolls? Wanted to read Vesuvius's 5-star Yelp review later. The ground quakes, knocking you to your knees. Ash is waist deep in low spots, and breathing's a chore. Your tunic's a lousy filter. You pass a temple, its altar toppled, a priest still chanting to Apollo like it'll help. That garum obsession? Spilled jars now mix with ash, a fishy sludge underfoot. Another joke. What's Pompeii's new scent? Eau de garum disaster. You push toward the city's edge, where a crowd funnels through a gate. Some carry lamps, their flames flickering in the gloom, but most grope blindly. You see a woman freeze, clutching a toddler, unsure which way to turn. Fleeing means facing open fields with nowhere to hide from falling rocks. Staying risks burial alive. Historical estimates suggest thousands tried to escape, but many didn't make it far. You dodge a donkey, abandoned and braying, its cart crushed. The quirky pillow helmets from earlier reappear. Folks tie them tighter as pumice pelts grow heavier. Your lungs burn, and every step's a slog. Vesuvius's glow paints the sky red, a hellish dawn. You reach a wall, leaning against it to catch your breath. A man nearby mutters about Vulcan's wrath, blaming the gods. You wonder if he's right, or if nature's just flexing. The crowd thins. Some turn back, others vanish into the ash. You don't know what's worse, the known danger behind, or the unknown ahead. You take a step, then another, the city's pulse fading under Vesuvius's wrath. You're trudging through Pompeii's nightmare, ash up to your thighs, the city a ghost of its former self. Vesuvius's eruption in 79 CE has buried streets, but now you stumble upon something haunting. The plaster casts of Pompeii's victims, captured in their final moments. Historical records from later excavations reveal how archaeologists poured plaster into voids left by decayed bodies, preserving their last poses. You pause at one, a crouched figure, hands shielding their face, frozen in fear. The air's still thick, but these casts feel heavier than the ash. A quirky tidbit. Some casts show people clutching odd items, like a woman gripping a bronze lamp, maybe hoping for light in the dark. You imagine her final thoughts. Did she pray for dawn? Historians still argue whether these casts show death by ash suffocation or later pyroclastic surges. You step carefully, spotting another cast, a child curled tight, almost peaceful. Your chest tightens. The casts are everywhere. Families huddling, a dog twisted in panic. Joke alert. Why'd the dog stay loyal? Thought Vesuvius was just a bad fetch game. The city's a maze of collapsed roofs and buried homes. You pass a villa, its courtyard choked with ash. That garum stench from earlier, now faint under sulfur. The ground's hot, a warning of worse to come. You notice a cast of a man reaching upward, as if pleading with the sky. It's eerie how vivid they are. Cloth folds, sandal straps, even terrified expressions. Another joke. What's a Pompeian's last selfie? A plaster cast with bad lighting. You shake your head, trying to stay focused, but the casts pull you in, each one a story cut short. Historical estimates suggest thousands died, though exact numbers vary. You weave through ruins, the casts a grim gallery. Some show people alone, others in groups, like a family of four, arms entwined. The quirky amulets from that house earlier. One cast clutches something similar, a futile charm. You wonder what they believed in at the end. The ash keeps falling. Lighter now, but the heat's rising. Vesuvius isn't done. You move on, the cast behind you, their silent screams echoing in your mind. You're still in Pompeii's ashen grip. The plaster casts silent cries, fading behind you. The air burns your throat, and Vesuvius's glow pulses like a wound in the sky. Now, you grapple with why this happened. In 79 CE, Pompeians wrestled with the same question, torn between divine fury and nature's chaos. Historical texts, like those from Roman writers, show some blamed gods, Jupiter or Vulcan, for the eruption, demanding sacrifices gone wrong. You pause by a toppled shrine, its statue of Venus cracked. Did they think she abandoned them? A quirky tidbit. One excavated graffiti pleads, "Vulcan, spare us." A desperate note scrawled mid-disaster. Imagine scribbling that while ash falls. Historians still argue whether Pompeians leaned more on religious or practical explanations. Some, like Pliny the Elder, studied nature, but most saw gods in every quake. You trudge past a buried tavern, that garum stench long gone, replaced by sulfur. Joke alert. Why'd Vulcan ignore the plea? He was too busy forging a hot new disaster. The ground trembles, and you duck under a sagging archway. Romans didn't know plate tectonics, but you picture Vesuvius's magma chamber, a ticking bomb beneath the crust. Locals might have called it Hades stirring. You spot a broken altar, offerings of figs and wine crushed under ash. Another joke. What's a Pompeian's worst prayer? Asking for one more sunny day. You keep moving, the city a graveyard of beliefs. Some residents, records suggest, tried rituals, burning incense, chanting, while others just ran. That quirky crocodile dung sunscreen, bet someone thought it'd appease the gods. You pass a collapsed temple, its columns like fallen giants. The debate lingers. Was Vesuvius a natural beast or divine punishment? You lean toward science, but feel the ancients' dread. The sky's still black, heat rising. You wonder what you'd believe if you lived here, facing a mountain's wrath with only myths to guide you. You're trudging through Pompeii's buried streets. Vesuvius's wrath, a distant rumble now. But the city's gone quiet, entombed in ash. Fast forward to the 18th century, and you're no longer a Roman, you're an explorer, shovel in hand, as Pompeii's ruins resurface. Historical records pinpoint 1748, when excavators, digging near Naples, uncovered the city, sparking global awe. You stand in a freshly cleared street, marveling at walls still painted with fading gods. The air's cool, alive with the buzz of discovery, unlike the choking heat of 79 CE. A quirky tidbit: early diggers thought Pompeii was just a rich man's villa, not a whole city. Talk about underestimating the find. Historians still argue whether initial excavations were treasure hunts or serious science. You kick at loose dirt, revealing a mosaic of a dancing faun. Locals whisper of curses, blaming disturbed spirits for workers' mishaps. Joke alert: why'd the excavator quit? Kept finding garum jars instead of gold. That fishy sauce, remember? Its stench haunts even these ruins, faint in clay pots unearthed nearby. You wander past a cleared villa, its frescoes vibrant despite centuries. Archaeologists swarm, sketching columns and statues. The rediscovery, fueled by Enlightenment curiosity, draws kings and scholars. You trace a wall's graffiti, love notes and curses, just like you saw in Pompeii's lively days. Another joke: what's an 18th century digger's pickup line? Wanna unearth my heart? You grin, but the scale of Pompeii humbles you. Amphitheaters, baths, entire lives frozen. Historical accounts note thousands of artifacts pulled from the ash, each a puzzle piece of Roman life. The quirky pillow helmets from the eruption. Excavators find cloth scraps, maybe from those desperate shields. You pause at a temple, its altar chipped but intact. The past feels close, like Pompeii's whispering its story. Every shovel scrape uncovers more: bread loaves, charred in ovens, sandals, worn thin. You wonder what's next, the city's secrets teasing you forward. You're still in Pompeii's ruins, the 18th century excavation buzzing around you. Dust swirls as workers haul out artifacts, each one a glimpse into the city's soul. You crouch by a freshly uncovered wall, tracing a faded fresco of a banquet, Romans reclining, cups raised. Historical records from digs show Pompeii's artifacts, pottery, jewelry, even carbonized bread, reveal a culture obsessed with beauty and excess. You pick up a shard of clay, maybe from a garum jug, the fishy sauce still haunting the scene. The air hums with discovery, the past breathing again. A quirky tidbit: archaeologists found a petrified loaf with a baker's stamp, like a Roman brand logo. Ancient marketing at its finest. Historians still argue whether Pompeii's wealth came mostly from trade or agriculture. You wander through a cleared villa, its atrium open to the sky. Mosaics glitter underfoot, spelling out greetings to long-dead guests. Joke alert: why'd the mosaic maker retire? Kept getting floored by deadlines. You smirk, stepping over a rope barrier to peer at a bronze statue, its eyes eerily lifelike. Artifacts pile up, lamps shaped like gladiators, dice mid-game, even a doctor's kit with scalpels. You imagine the lives behind them, a gambler's last roll, a healer's final patient, that crocodile dung sunscreen, excavators found cosmetic jars, maybe holding similar weird recipes. Another joke. What's a Pompeian's beauty secret? Ash masks, courtesy of Vesuvius. You move to the forum, where columns stand like sentinels. Historical data suggests Pompeii's port connected it to Egypt and Spain, its markets stuffed with silk and spices. You pause by a tavern's counter, cups still stacked. Graffiti nearby brags about a gladiator's conquests. Love or swords, you wonder. The quirky amulets from that doomed house. Similar charms turn up, etched with prayers. Every find stitches Pompeii's story tighter, but the ruins keep some secrets. You step back, the city's vibrancy vivid despite its scars. You're deep in Pompeii's excavated heart, the ruins whispering tales of lives cut short. The artifacts, mosaics, garum jars, gladiator dice, paint a vivid picture. But now you grapple with a grim question. How many died here? Historical estimates of Pompeii's death toll in 79 CE range widely, from 2,000 to 16,000, based on skeletal finds and city size. You stand in the forum, wind whistling through broken columns, imagining the chaos that silenced this place. The air's cool, but the weight of loss lingers. A quirky tidbit. Some skeletons clutched coins, as if hoping to bribe death itself. Vesuvius wasn't buying. Historians still argue whether most died in the initial ashfall or later pyroclastic surges, those searing gas waves that hit like a freight train. You wander past a cleared bakery, its oven cold but intact, bread loaves petrified inside. Joke alert. Why'd the baker stay? Thought he could knead his way out of trouble. You shake your head, stepping over a cracked tile. Excavations uncovered bodies in homes, streets, even the harbor, some with jewelry, others empty-handed. You picture that woman with the bronze lamp, her cast frozen in fear. Was she one of thousands or tens of thousands? The math's murky. Pompeii housed 20,000, but how many fled? You pass a temple, its altar chipped, and recall that quirky graffiti begging Vulcan's mercy. Another joke. What's a Pompeian's worst bet? Thinking Vulcan takes IOUs. The numbers haunt you, each skull a story, each bone a life. Skeletal evidence suggests suffocation or heat shock killed most, though some skulls show trauma from falling debris. You pause by a wall, graffiti faded but defiant. That crocodile dung sunscreen? Maybe someone clutched its jar, hoping for miracles. The debate persists. Did more die because they stayed, or because escape was impossible? You turn, the ruins stretching silent, their dead uncounted but unforgotten. You're standing in Pompeii's quiet ruins, the echoes of its final day still hanging in the air. The artifacts, the casts, the debated death toll, they all weave a story that's outlived the city itself. Now, you reflect on what Pompeii teaches us, its lessons carved in ash and stone. Historical records show the eruption of 79 CE reshaped how Romans viewed nature's power, inspiring writers like Pliny the Younger to document disasters with precision. You wander past a crumbled villa, its frescoes fading but defiant, and feel the weight of a city that speaks across centuries. A quirky tidbit: modern volcanologists study Vesuvius's rocks to predict future eruptions, using Pompeii as a grim textbook. Historians still argue whether Pompeii's fate could have been avoided with better warning systems. Ancient oracles didn't exactly have seismographs. You pause by a mosaic of a fish, maybe a nod to that garum obsession, and grin. Joke alert. Why's Pompeii a history buff's dream? It's the ultimate time capsule. No assembly required. The ruins stretch around you, a snapshot of joy, fear, and resilience. Pompeii's legacy isn't just loss, it's a mirror. You see yourself in the baker's stamped loaf, the lover's graffiti, even those quirky pillow helmets. The city reminds you life's fragile but fierce. You step over a broken pot, maybe once filled with that crocodile dung sunscreen, and chuckle. Another joke. What's Pompeii's motto now? Live fast, love hard, dodge volcanoes. Its story pushes you to notice the tremors in your own world, literal or not. Vesuvius still looms, active and watched, a reminder nature doesn't play favorites. As you linger, the ruins feel less like a grave, more like a conversation. Pompeii's people laughed, fought, dreamed, same as you. Their end was sudden, but their mark endures in every unearthed cup, every cast's silent plea. You turn, the bay glinting beyond, and let the city's whisper settle in your bones. Now, let's ease you towards sleep, the ruins fading like a soft exhale. Picture Pompeii under a gentle moon, its stones cool, the bay's waves a steady lullaby. The chaos is gone, Vesuvius just a shadow, watching over a city at peace. You're safe, wrapped in the quiet of your room, the fans hum weaving through the dark. Those plaster casts, the garum jars, the frantic graffiti, they're stories now, not nightmares. Let them drift, like ash settling on a calm sea. Your breath slows, each inhale pulling you deeper into rest. Pompeii's lessons linger, but they're gentle now, whispering of life's beauty, its fleeting spark. Close your eyes, let the ruins blur, and sink into the soft tide of sleep. The city's still there, waiting, but for now, it bids you sweet dreams.